your thoughts on what you've seen from the NBA. We've got about a week and a day so far.
Yeah, I mean, great product so far. I mean, very excited for the whole season. Obviously, I mean, cool to see the Warriors. I mean, I think they've probably been the most impressive team with the 4-0 start, and just makes you wonder, if they can kind of keep this momentum going until Clay comes back. They're going to be a fun team. I think the Miami Heat have a chance to be a real fun team. James Harden's slow start, like he hasn't looked good. It makes you wonder, what sort of situation the Nets are going to be in, especially if they don't have Kyrie at all season long. It's been fun, and we talked about in the opening. It's just NBA. I think is your favorite sport, mine as well, to watch, to gamble on. So looking forward to the whole season, and like I said, the beginning has been very enjoyable, and I'm happy to be here. Like I said, when I hopped on, like I'm coming on here now to get the DFS winners. I mean, you have a lot of success so far in this season.
Yeah, we'll be working on that, of course, towards the end of the show. We'll build a little core. We'll get your thoughts on each player or each group of players as we're going through the games. And we got 10 games, like our guy Harry says. So let's jump right in. 10 games tonight. You'd love to see it. The first game is a game that I like. I got involved in. If you're following my page, you see the articles. You'll see that I put that one out. It's the Charlotte Hornets laying 5.5 to the Orlando Magic, who are at home. Magic off to a slow start. Their only win was that back-to-back win over the Knicks, where they stayed in New York, and I feel like New York overlooked them. Other than that, the Magic have looked absolutely terrible. I think they've lost by like an average of 15 points in each loss, right? So that's why I went and jumped ahead here. I think it's hard for the bookmakers to quantify how poor this Orlando team currently is. Now, I'm not saying they're going to be this bad all season, right? They're missing Jonathan Isaacs, Michael Carter Williams, Markel Fultz, I don't think is playing still, right? So three of the players that they're building around are not there. I don't know. This one's pretty simple to me. I'm taking a Hornets team coming off that blowout, not blowout loss, the overtime loss to the Boston Celtics, right? So I feel that this is going to get me a team that's not going to lit up with the lead, right? After blowing that lead against the Celtics, right? Because that was a rough loss if you watched that game. Exciting game. I'm glad I didn't bet on that either, so I got to just enjoy it. But boy, that would have been frustrating for Hornets backers there, as they had a cover for about 50 of the 55 minutes of regulation they played. So do you agree with me here that the Charlotte Hornets are the right play at -5.5?
Yeah, I mean, impressive start to the season for the Hornets overall in terms of wins and losses. They started out 3-0, then kind of lost that game last time out. But I'm looking to get right back on the Hornets here. I mean, they're just a much better team than the Orlando Magic. I mean, just look at the rosters, look at what the guys are capable of doing on each side. I mean, to me, this is a mismatch, and the spread is what, like 5.5. That's a fair number to me. I agree with you. I think. There's a bigger mismatch between teams than the line actually indicates. So, yeah, I'll be on the Hornets here minus the 5.5. I mean, the one thing for the Magic that I think does work in their favor, Cole Anthony has kind of stepped up to the plate here the last couple games and had some solid performances. But I think the Hornets are good enough defensively to take that away. If they take him away, there's not much left. Franz Wagner has looked pretty good as well, but I don't
Mm-hmm.
think it's going to be enough here to take down the Hornets. So yeah, I'm with you. Hornets -5 would be the play for me.
All right, yeah, let's look at the DFS. Remember, before we jumped on, I was talking about how I think there's so many good options in this mid range here. Between 4,500 and 6,000. I think this game's a good example here. Talk about Lamelo Ball as a spend up if you think he's worth it at 8,100, and then maybe where we can pluck some value from this mid range here because there's a lot of players. You mentioned Anthony and Wagner, right? I have interest in both of them. What are your thoughts on the DFS aspects of this game?
So this is a situation that we talk about a lot on like the Hardwood Show, Up to Lock Show, where we have this standalone first game, 7 p.m. Eastern. This is the only game that tips off at this time, and if we don't have the Anthony Davis news, which is basically the last big piece, we already got that LeBron's out. Now Anthony Davis is questionable. Kind of tweaked his ankle or his knee. It looked like in the game, but he was able to finish. Do they are they cautious with him today? Do they have him sit? I kind of think they do, but I don't know if we're going to have this news at 7 p.m. Eastern. So this is a situation where for DFS lineups, I think we want to backload just in case we get the news that Davis is out, which makes it hard to lock in guys. Now, if we get the Davis news before 7 p.m. Eastern and you want to come here, I think you can. My favorite would be LaMelo. I mean, he's kind of just a guy that I'm going to play. If I'm building 150 lineups, LaMelo Ball is a guy that I'm going to have in my player pool almost every single slate. His upside is so massive. The minutes have been frustrating so far to start. What did he get up to? So he finally got up to like 33 ish. But was that an overtime game? That was overtime, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So really, I mean, you're looking at just 20. You would have been at 28 minutes, and that's not great for a guy like LaMelo. So the minutes have been super frustrating. I don't think there's any like real rhyme or reason as to why he should be playing. I mean, Rozier will be out again, so I don't see why he's not playing low 30s. If he does consistently get in that range, the upside's massive. So he would be my favorite. Probably won't be going anywhere else though in this game, and we have a 10-game slate, and to me this just really isn't the best spot for DFS purposes. A lot better games coming up here.
All right, and that's a great answer there, and I can move on, and I won't get tempted by Cole Anthony and Franz Wagner, who, I think they have some nice upside, and
They've
Wagner
been
I
playing
think is.
well.
He's been a good pick, right? I mean, this is a rebuilding team, and he's able to come in and contribute right away. I wonder how much he's going to continue to improve, but I think they did pretty well in their draft. Jalen Suggs is another one that I put in a couple of times, and I haven't got the results yet, although I didn't think I had him in there the one good game that he had. And, of course, Cole Anthony has done quite well as well. Let's talk about the Miami Heat heading over to the Brooklyn Nets now. I like this game when it opened. I sent it out to the subscribers. That number's not there, and I wouldn't suggest that you get into it now. So, hey, give me a quick breakdown, and then I'm going to run. I actually think my DraftKings check is here. I'm going to go sign it. Give me a quick breakdown of the game, and I will be right back.
Yeah, so I mean, we got the Hawks, we got the Pelicans, 220 total. Hawks favored by 5.5 in this game, and for me, from a betting perspective, I definitely lean probably the Pelican side. I mean, I think the Hawks are clearly the better team, but I think the Pelicans can do enough here at home to kind of keep it close enough to cover the spread. So definitely have a little bit of interest in the Pelicans. Not a strong lean, not like I'm playing it for sure. If I was going to bet it, I'd take the points in this game. The Pelicans at home, they did look a little bit better last time out against the Timberwolves. They beat them on the road. So kind of like the Pelicans here from the betting perspective. DFS wise, the Hawks are always just a very tough team for DFS purposes. They just have so many guys that can contribute. So many bench guys that are able to come off the bench and contribute. So the Hawks are always a team DFS wise that we look to avoid unless there's injury situation or like a discounted price tag. Capella's the one guy I think that has a discounted price tag, kind of limiting his minutes early on. At some point, that's going to flip. If it flips tonight, 6.5K for Capella is way too cheap. Only guy on the Hawk side that I consider. Then you go to the Pelican side, DFS wise. I think my favorite play is going to be Devontae Graham. He's playing a ton of minutes, and the shots starting to fall. At least it did last game, 8 for 16. He's going to chuck. He's going to play a lot of minutes. That's typically a good combination for DFS purposes. He's been over 30 fantasy points in 3 out of the 4 games so far this season. Good price tag at 5.7K. Brandon Ingram, I don't know, probably a little bit too expensive. We always talk about him also on the Hardwood Show, where just a safe bet to get to like around 40 fantasy points. Well, the problem is now that price tag is up there at 8.5K, where 40 fantasy points is okay, but probably not good enough for tournaments. I'll be looking to likely be off of him. And just to fill you in on the betting side, I said I preferred the Pelicans side here, +5. They look better against the Timberwolves, got that win last time out. So if I was going to go anywhere, it's not like a strong conviction play or anything, but I would definitely be on the Pelican side with the points at home here.
All right, yeah, and thank you for carrying that real quick. I had to sign for the check, but I appreciate it because you actually helped me win that check with all the great information you guys are giving out over at runpuresports.com. And thank you for carrying that. But you're a pro. You've done this a lot. Yeah, I agree with you there on the Pelicans +5.5 here. The market agrees with you too. This was open at 6, and I even saw it touch 6.5 as Atlanta took a little early money here. Here's the thing. I don't know if Atlanta's in the position to be covering on the road like that. We both agree that they're better team, right? When we're getting ready for the playoffs, we'll probably be talking about the Hawks and probably will not be talking about the Pelicans, barring some really breakout performances from Zion Williamson, because he's really the, like Obi-Wan Kenobi, he's their only hope, and this team really struggles offensively without him. That being said, do we trust the Atlanta Hawks to get margin here, or do you think they just pull out a close one on the road? I lean with you. Uh, I think they pull a close one out on the road, but not enough to get involved. I think there's better spots on the board,
Yeah.
and thank you for the DFS breakdown as well. Did you give me the lean on the Heat and the Nets? Which side did you like? So I like the Heat at 5, not anymore. At 3.5, this is a complete stay away for me. I think this is way closer to what the true line should have been.
Yeah, I mean, I still, if I was going to bet this now, you got a good number at the 5.5. If I was going to bet it, I'd still probably go with the Heat. Actually, if I was going to bet it, I'd probably just take the Heat money line and just hope they win the game, because I honestly think at this point they might just be the better basketball team. A lot of concerns for me on the Nets side. The rotation's a disaster. They don't know, who's playing. They got this combination of Blake Griffin, Claxton, Millsap, LaMarcus Aldridge. There's just so many guys. They just don't have a stable rotation. They weren't playing Bruce Brown. Now they are playing Bruce Brown. James Harden has looked awful. I mean, there's just no two ways to put it. He hasn't had a good game yet this season. He hasn't put it all together. Not getting the free throw line. Obviously, some of these new rules are clearly affecting his ability to get there. The most, 4, 1, and 3 in terms of the free throws that he's attempted. I mean, that's a guy that's typically getting there double-digit time, so it's like 10 points right off the board there. So, I think there's a lot of concerns here on the Nets side of things. I would just go ahead and at this point, like you got a good number. You got the 5.5 at this point. If I was going to do anything, I'd just bet the Heat money line. I actually kind of like that play because, like I said, I have a feeling the Heat might just be the better team at this point in the season.
And they got the guy that you want if you're going to play the Nets, right? PJ Tucker. When you bring him in, you're bringing him for one reason, right? It's to play Kevin Durant specifically,
yep.
right? And I just want to touch on one thing, and then maybe you can share this with some of the hardwood guys, because I've heard you guys talk about it, and I haven't heard this angle being addressed, right? So we're talking about James Harden and the decline in production, right? The rules have something to do with it, right? But I haven't heard anyone just say what I'm seeing when I watch. The guy's getting in his 30s, right? I mean, point guard's a young man's game, right? I just don't see him beating the guys off the dribble the way that he used to, and because of that, I think guys are playing him tighter on that shot, and he gets it's a little tougher for that step back for him to create the space, where it's the difference between a wide open step back and then the contested step back, right? So we're not getting the easier layups. Every layup is an adventure now because he's not blowing by guys like he used to. And hey, as a guy that's getting older myself, that speed goes pretty quickly, right?
When it just kind of hits you out of nowhere, like, oh shit, I used to be able to do that, and now I can't do it. Which could be the case because the number of drives per game, way down for James Harden this season. Now, we're talking small sample size. This is, a 4-game sample size. He might, still be getting his legs under him, and all of a sudden he blows us away with these big performances. But so far it's been concerning, and I want to see it before I can invest in it. Played him a couple times in DFS so far. I think I'm definitely pumping the brakes on James Harden. If he beats me tonight and goes off for 70 fantasy points, so be it. I got to see it because I'm starting to really question if it's still there for him.
Yeah, and We the People says Westbrook is 30 plus, but still put up numbers. Harden has no excuses. My difference is Westbrook is just really, I mean, he's there for his athleticism, right? Elite athlete at probably not anymore, but 2 to 3 years ago when he's really doing it, you can make a case that he was the best athlete in the NBA, and then you can even argue cross sports with how fast he was, his leaping ability, and the ability to go side to side as well. Harden's always been the mix of athleticism and skill. So now he's relying on the skill a little more, but we're seeing the athleticism deteriorate, and I think that has something to do with the decline in production as well. You didn't touch on the Pacers and the Raptors while I was gone, did you?
No, I just stuck with the one game, the Hawks.
That's great because the Hawks and the Pelicans, we do that one quickly. I actually didn't have a lot of interest in that game. This game I actually did have. It took me a little while. I actually crossed it off my list But it was the last one I was debating. I kind of like Toronto here -1, but I didn't get involved. Toronto's been a little bit inconsistent. Obviously, they're losing the leadership of Lowry, and then without Siakam, who I think is kind of getting that Julius Randle bad rap, where like he's really good in the regular season, and then he had a bad playoff run, and everyone wants to write him off like he's not a bad player. But right now, we are handicapping the regular season. So I ended up staying away. I ended up being a stay away there. But I do lean the Raptors. Am I overlooking the Pacers? Because everyone loves the Pacers. Rick Carlisle, to me, he is a good coach, but he's not this, Phil Jackson, Greg Popovich level coach. Right? I don't think the guys made the playoffs since they won the title in 2011.
Right.
So I mean, not made the playoffs, won a playoff
Yeah.
series. So I don't know. Am I underrating the Pacers? Give me your thoughts on this game.
Yeah, he's just kind of a name now, and he's obviously had success in the NBA, but he's not one of these like elite game-changing coaches. I mean, there's not many
Mhm.
of them. I don't think he's there. A lot of people, view him as that. I don't. In terms of this game, I don't know. I really have no idea. Like, I think it's
Okay.
two teams that are still kind of figuring themselves out at this point. This would just be like a stay away from me. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked at all, like with the outcome. Fantasy wise, kind of tough as well. I mean, especially on the Pacers side, because it sounds like Levert's coming back, and that obviously takes away from everyone else.
Hmm.
Brogdon, Sabonis, Turner. Even if Levert does play, there's going to be some limitations. He's not going to come out and play 35 minutes tonight. But him in there is a big takeaway from everyone. This Chris Duarte guy has looked really, really solid.
Hmm.
So there'll be opportunities for the Pacers down the road. Tonight, I don't think is the spot on a 10-game slate where they're getting a key piece back. On the Raptors side, kind of like Van Fleet a little bit, the Pacers do have a tendency to get into shootouts, back and forth type games. In the past they've been viewed more as like a defensive type team. Not the case anymore, but Van Fleet's guy of interest in a close game. He'll play a ton of minutes. He's got 35 minutes, 37 minutes, 39, and 43 minutes as well. So a guy that'll play a lot of minutes, had a big coming off a big game. Interest in him. Gary Trent Jr. has actually looked pretty good this year. Another guy that's going to play a lot of minutes and put up a lot of shots. First game, well, I don't know, 9 shots there, but 13, 14, 15 shots. Um, Priced fairly on DraftKings at 4.8K. Scotty Barnes is a FanDuel play. They have him cheap, $5,000 range. And then the last piece that I have a lot of interest in is Precious. Precious, good price tag, racking up the double doubles, 4.9K on DraftKings is a good price tag. So a lot of interest fantasy wise on the Raptors side, not so much on the Pacers side.
And I had a couple of questions, and we talked about it a little bit before, and I think this would be great just to insert one of them. And this is just a general daily fantasy question, and it's just about how they come up on these prices. And
Yeah,
the reason I'm asking this question, right? So Duarte, we've loved playing him, right?
yeah,
We were on him from the beginning. I didn't, I even loved that play before I logged on the very first night and saw that he was in your course as well, right? So it wasn't a huge secret. Steve Boyton, when we did the draft preview and talked some of it on a live show, really talked him up. Was really excited about him. He's sitting here at 5,900, right? And he's been averaging about 30 fantasy points per game, and then or 5,600, excuse me. And then you go down, and you've got a guy like Precious at 49, and he's sitting at the same price. Is that because of the difference in positions, or is it just because Duarte's constantly getting played and Precious isn't? So I guess my question is to you: are they moving it off the percentage of people playing these guys, or are they moving it off their actual performance, or is it some mixture of both?
So that is one of the mysteries of DFS, how the sites come up with the price, because there's really no rhyme or reason to it. Sometimes things surprise you, other times like you're not surprised at all. Uh, from what I understand, it's some sort of like big algorithm that goes into it. The matchup, if is the team's playing against a fast paced team or bad defensive team, they'll kind of bump everyone up a little bit. They priced him at 5,000 yesterday. Was he 80% owned? If so, probably got to bump that price up a little bit. How many fantasy points has he been scoring in his last X amount of games? So like the true statistics and numbers that go into the algorithm to determine these prices is still unknown to
Okay.
DFS players. But you can kind of see if a guy's producing well, the price will go up. If it's a good matchup, the price will go up. If they're coming off a game where they're super highly owned, where 70-80% of people played them, and he played pretty well, the price will go up. So you can see the trends in terms of the exact numbers. It's unknown.
All right, and I see a question in the chat about the Pacers team total. It's sitting there at 108. I'm a little worried. This Toronto Raptors defense has been stingy, and I think that we, the people here, made a good point, and that's exactly what I would say too. Their numbers might be a little inflated by the fact that they played a couple of overtime games, right? And when I'm building my model and I'm putting in the final scores and stuff, I don't really have a way to correlate on overtime because by the time I get to 50 games in, it's fine. But this early in the season, it could seriously skew your numbers. So I would think that if anything, it's a little high, but I don't want to get involved. Like you said, there's so many unknowns with these teams, and I think there's teams that we have a better feel for who they really are and how they're going to perform this early in the season than get involved in this game. If we're picking though every single game, I'll lean the Raptors. Here's another game that I didn't get involved with, but I lean the dog in this one. Washington Wizards are +4 heading to Boston to take on the Celtics. They've taken a little bit of money here, as this was 4.5 when I was doing my early work this AM. Wizards taking a little money. I think the market's right here. I like this Wizards team. I think what they've done, I think they've improved. I think that Dinwiddie can score just as good as Westbrook, and now I've added some wing pieces that most importantly can defend, because that's been the issue with the Wizards the last couple seasons, that they score 130, they give up 134. You win money on the over, but it's tough for the Wizards fans. It sucks for us now because the over isn't just an auto play, right? Remember last year they'd be about 238. Sitting at 224. I think that number's right. What are your thoughts on the Celtics versus the Wizards?
We got two teams where I think they could be going in different directions. I think the Wizards could potentially be on the way up, an improved team. The Celtics, I think, could be on their way down. I look at their roster, just not impressed with it at all. So this is a situation where, I'm going to take the points. Again, not one of my favorite plays. I think I like that Miami Heat game much better. I like the Miami side. This, though, I think I'd take the points in this game, and just kind of on the speculation that, maybe the Wizards are better than we thought they were going to be. And then Boston, I think, has the chance to kind of start declining a little bit this year. So, give me the Wizards here plus the 4.
All right, and from a DFS side, and I love this. I heard it when a couple of days ago when you guys were talking about it. I think it was the show you did with Title. I hadn't heard the slang term though, the stocks for steals and blocks, and how Robert Williams was so dependent on him. Williams, killed one of my lineups one night, and then the very next day helped me lead me to at least a min cash there and an ability to pick up a cash game head to head. What do you think of Robert Williams tonight? And is there any other players I should be interested in?
So Robert Williams is, we talked about on the show, kind of dependent on the stocks, the steals and blocks, and especially on FanDuel where you get more points for the steals and blocks. But he's kind of turning into a guy that if Al Horford sits, we're going to get a lot of those situations this season where Al Horford does not play on back-to-backs. I bet he doesn't play. When he sits, you look to Robert Williams. I think when he plays, you probably don't play Robert Williams. So I'll probably stay away tonight.
And he's probable tonight, yeah.
Yeah. So Al Horford's going to be in there. The guy I do like is Tatum, just based on his price. 9.1K, really good matchup, coming off 2 really solid games. One of them was overtime, but he's still crushing before overtime. I like Tatum at that price tag, 9.1K. It's probably it, though, on the Celtics side. On the Wizards side, it's a team, they're tough when Beal's in there because he just does so much on the offensive end, where he's kind of probably a little bit too expensive. Beal is himself, but the fact that he's in there, there's just not enough to go around for these other guys to pay off their price tags. Yes, I like Dinwiddie. Yes, I like Kyle Kuzma, but 7.1K for Dinwiddie, and then 6.8K for Kuzma. There's just not enough to go around. And then you got Harrell too coming off the bench, another high usage guy. So this will be mostly a game to stay away from for DFS purposes outside of Tatum because of the price tag in the matchup.
All right, and it makes sense. And we talked right before we went on the air about shortening the playing field. I think that's one thing that we can do, and it's identify these games where the players are priced correctly and we're not really expecting a huge total. And then we hope that this game doesn't go to double overtime and break
Yep.
the slate for us, right?
Yep.
Let's jump into the Los Angeles Lakers. Boy, they had a fun game last night. And of course, everybody loaded up on that game, right? I mean, it just felt like, even though the Nuggets were still playing, didn't it just feel like every contest was over the second that game ended? It
Yep.
went to overtime, and I had a great lineup, but of course everybody did. So a lot of them just came down to did you take Keldon Johnson or Dejounte Murray, right? It just a couple Spurs seemed to really twist a lot of contests. Now they head to Oklahoma City. Thank you, LeBron, for announcing you're out today, so we don't have to wait till 5 minutes on the final countdown show before getting that news. But they couldn't be that nice to us. Now we have to consider the Anthony Davis news. I personally am leaning towards him sitting. So for the purposes, I guess, of doing this right now, why don't we attack this as if he's out? And I think that if he's in, can we stay away from this game other than Westbrook?
If he is in, if Anthony Davis is in, I think we can still. I'd be hesitant to play him just because we've been down this path with Anthony Davis a ton. I mean, yeah, you could definitely see him aggravating this injury, and I personally think he does sit, and then this is going to be a situation where you just want to load up fantasy wise. Russell Westbrook, Malik Monk, I think it's a strong play regardless. Only 3.7K. It's a great price tag for him. Then if Anthony Davis is out, DeAndre Jordan and Dwight Howard will play a lot of minutes. Strong preference on Dwight Howard though. If Davis is out, you would need the offensive ability of Howard over Jordan. So give me Howard in that situation. But like I said, even if Davis is in, Monk and Westbrook, strong plays on the Oklahoma City side. I mean, with LeBron out, this already becomes more competitive, most likely more competitive. If Anthony Davis is out too, then you're talking a most likely a very competitive game here between the Lakers and the Thunder. More likely to shoot out from a fantasy perspective. Gilgeous-Alexander, great price tag at 7-1. Slow start to the season, but back-to-back strong performances. Lou Dort, he's going to be out there a ton, playing a lot of minutes. This Josh Giddey, 4.8K. I think he's a strong play. This is going to be a spot to go for DFS purposes. It just depends how deep we're going to go. If Anthony Davis is out, we're going to play a lot of these guys. If he's in, some of them still do make sense. So it's hour after lock this game. And, this is news that is very vital to the slate, and you probably need it before you start locking in too many pieces.
This line to me says I don't think he's going to play. -4.5 against
Yeah.
one of the worst teams in the league. Let's just say he does sit, and this line stays at 4.5. Right? There's not movement; it's already baked in. Do you like Los Angeles here? To me, it's Los Angeles or no play. I know the Thunder are scrappy. I know they play hard. I'm going to take them in situations where I'm getting way more points and not against the elite. Right? I'm going to take them against the
Yeah.
Bulls, the Pelicans, right? Those
I
middling teams. I don't know if I want to go against the very best teams in the league.
mean, these were the teams for the most part, we avoided betting on last season. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't see myself betting on the Thunder all that often this season. Like, I just don't want to make a habit of it.
Well, they're going to creep up to like +15 by April, and then we're going to
Yeah.
be considering them, right?
Yeah, that's when you can. Not when they're only
Yeah.
getting. I agree with you. Like 4 point. I don't care who they're playing against. They're like such a bad team. I don't want
Right.
to. I don't want just four. I want double digits.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next game because I'm completely fine staying away from that game, even if I don't know. I lean the Lakers there, but not enough to get involved. Minnesota Timberwolves +6 heading to Milwaukee, and this is definitely going to be a fun one for DFS. Second highest total on the board, -231. So, -6 here, a total of 231. I like the Bucks here, but not enough to get involved. I think they did a pretty good job setting this line. What we're waiting for news. So Drew Holiday's out for sure. Brook Lopez is out for sure. Semi is probable, and Bobby Portis, right? And Bobby Portis takes into one of the guys that I've been playing a lot, Jordan Nwora. So
Yeah.
I had him in originally, and then when I saw Portis might play, I took him out. So we're away from it on that one. From a betting perspective, I think this line is pretty close to right. I think I would rather have Milwaukee here. So I think that Minnesota's still figuring some things out as far as their pecking order. And working D'Angelo Russell in, who hasn't been scoring. And let's be fair, when he's not scoring, he doesn't really do a lot for you. right? I mean,
Yeah.
so that's been tough for them to overcome. Edwards is fantastic, but of course he is just prone to complete cold streaks. And then Karl Anthony Towns is almost like, you guys talk about cash games, right? You can count on him every night to put up some good numbers and give you a good performance. So that is the one method of stability they have there. I think from a DFS perspective, and I do this every night, right? It's like I want to play Giannis every night, but especially against Nas Reed, Towns, and these gentlemen. Talk to me about whether or not you like the Bucks -6, and then maybe my contention that Giannis is the best spend up for the evening.
Uh, agree, and agree with basically everything you said.
All
Like
right.
I'm with you on the Bucks. Like they at home in these spots, it just seems like such a likely blowout situation, or not even a blowout, but that they cover, they beat them up. I mean, I just can't imagine the Timberwolves being able to keep this all that close. Fantasy wise, yeah, I'm not playing any of these Bucks guys. D'Angelo Russell has looked awful this season. A lot of turnovers, careless with the ball. So yeah, I'll be fine fading the Timberwolves. Bucks side, yeah, Giannis for sure. I mean, he can absolutely have his way. Even if this game blows out, he can absolutely go off. They have no chance of slowing him down. I'm with you. I've been playing Noir as well, but I think we can just go, similar price. I can just play Bobby Portis, who I think gets,
Mm.
probably low 20s in terms of minutes. And, that's all he's going to need to pay off this price tag without Brook Lopez. He's capable of just, going off in short periods of time. 4.3K on DraftKings. I think he's a phenomenal play tonight. So that's kind of where I'm at on this one.
All right. Let's talk about a game that I do like the side. It's the Sacramento Kings. They're at +8 right now. They're playing the Phoenix Suns. I like the Kings here. They're just one of those teams that's going to lose a lot of close games. I don't think that they're that bad. The problem is they're just not that good. They're playing a Phoenix team that is still, talk about the Super Bowl hangover in NFL, and I don't think it's exactly the same, but there is that fatigue from playing the extra time, coming up short. Then Devin Booker goes to Tokyo to play for our country. So thank you, Devin, for representing the United States so well. But of course, that adds on to the fatigue as well. And then thirdly, I don't know how the Sarver allegations combined with the DeAndre Ayton not getting an extension plays in the locker room and with the team as a whole. Now, the allegations is one thing, but I feel like the non-extension. I wrote about this a couple days ago, and I said if you drafted him number one, he's getting 18-8, and he's playing good defense as a big man. I mean, like, what did you expect? You shouldn't have drafted him if you're not going to extend him.
Yeah.
To me, he's done exactly everything that you could ask for as a player. He's gotten better every year. He's improved his defense, and he gives you 18-8, right? And he can cover, 3 through 5, which is pretty good for a shot blocker. So I'm really surprised by that. That's why I'm down on Phoenix early in the year. I'm sure that they're going to figure it out, but they know this is playoffs, right? The regular season doesn't matter to this team right now, especially as tired as they are. So I like the Kings +8 here. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, the Ayton thing. I mean, they knew what they were getting. I mean, they drafted a guy that the style of play that he has doesn't really correlate to the NBA, and I'm sure that's why they're kind of hesitant to give him this extension, because you need your bigs to be more versatile nowadays. You need your bigs to get out there and shoot threes. He's not that guy, but like you said, they knew what they were getting into when they drafted him. So weird situation. I was down on the Suns all last season throughout the playoffs. Obviously, it was painful to the pocketbook that they got all the way there. I think they regress a little bit this season. I'm with you. I would take the 8 in this game. They have the Kings have enough guys that they can keep this competitive. Davion Mitchell looks phenomenal. I mean, really really good. Coming off the bench, got him healed off the bench. Fox, I like. I mean, I think they can keep this game competitive. So yeah, definitely like the Kings fantasy wise. Um, the King. It's tough with the Kings because outside of Fox, I really don't trust anyone. I think you can probably still play Davion Mitchell. The price is starting to come up a little bit. He looks really good. Outside of those two, not all that much. And then the Suns. I mean, it's a team we typically don't play in fantasy unless there's guys out, and they really don't have anyone out right now. So I think they are in easy fade.
Yeah, and I think that I don't want any part of Booker tonight. Now, I don't do all the big lineups, but even if I made 150 lineups, I don't even think I put him in one. we've
Yeah.
seen what Davion Mitchell's done to Damian Lillard and then to Donovan Mitchell, right? So to me, I mean, maybe 1 out of 150, right? But I mean, it just seems like Booker's pretty easy to stay away from tonight because I think that's a perfect. He's just not a real big guy is really, going to problem him, right? Like Davion Mitchell's not going to be able to shut down a bigger forward, like Kevin Durant or someone. But someone that's 6'6" or less, I think he's going to give some problems to. And I think that Devin Booker might have some problems with that matchup tonight. The Memphis Grizzlies +2 against the Portland Trailblazers -2. This Trailblazers team's been all over the place, man. It's like they beat the pants off Phoenix. They lost to the Kings. They get blown out by the Clippers. I mean, I don't really know what to make with this team. Damian Lillard never does good before Christmas, right? So if there's anyone pushing for the later NBA start to the season, it's got to be Dame Lillard because he already doesn't think that the season starts till Christmas. CJ McCollum's been nice on the DraftKings side, but from a betting side, I think it makes it hard to get involved in this game. To me, it's Memphis or pass. The reason I don't like Memphis here is Memphis spent the last 2 days in LA. John Morant was on the NBA studio show yesterday, right? Which means they had been in LA this whole time. They didn't get up to Portland. I would have gone to Portland where it's a little more boring, but that was the decision they made. Maybe Memphis, the end of a road trip, feel themselves. They did have one nice win there in Los Angeles, and then, of course, a close game with the Lakers. So I'm thinking that this is a team that I don't want to trust in this situation, although I do like them better from a season-long perspective. What do you think about the Grizzlies and the Trailblazers?
Yeah, I mean, big total. I mean, 234. So we should see some offensive fireworks. I'd probably lean the Trailblazers here. Not a strong lean, but yeah, I mean, the big concern with the Trailblazers at this point is Damian Lillard, and just like you said, he appears not interested in what's going on. So that's the concern. Does it match up with Ja Morant? Get him a little more excited? I mean, maybe that's the hope here. So I'd probably be on the Trailblazers side. Fantasy wise, I think there are some options here. I think we have some good price tags. Just starting on the Grizzlies side, Melton and Bain, both obviously very involved here offensively, and they've looked good. 5K for Melton, 4.8K for Bain. Bain's been really solid so far to start the year. At least right around 30 minutes in every game, and he's shot the ball 16, 15 times, and 33, 30. Man, I mean, he's been super consistent with the minutes, the points, the shots, everything. Good price tag. So 4.8K, I like him. Steven Adams has been playing really well, 5.3K. So I think these guys are all pretty underpriced. On the Trailblazer side, the only person I trust, I think, is CJ McCollum, maybe a little bit of Nurkic, maybe, but definitely CJ. I like CJ. Again, if Dame's going to be slow to start here, I mean, the one that obviously benefits the most is CJ McCollum. So I think we have some DFS plays here. Big total, 234. Hopefully we can see some fireworks.
Yeah, CJ averaging 46 fantasy points so far this season. So he's the player I would look to. And then, of course, I was pretty happy because when I built one before we got on the show, I had Melton and Bain in there. But like you said, pretty simple. They're good performers, and I just chose the highest total of the day. So, learning these DFS fundamental concepts. The last game of the night is the Cleveland Cavaliers +8, heading to Los Angeles to take on the Clippers -8. Once again, congratulations to the bookmakers. I consider this line to be correct, so I didn't get involved. The Cavaliers have been scrappy. You have to be excited about the play of Evan Mobley. He gets the Jamar Chase NBA award. He's another one that looked absolutely lost in preseason and just came out and just started playing really well once the actual season started. So, they have to be happy about that. I like when they run like the triple twin tower attack. I don't know what you want to call it. Triple tower attack is what I called it. And that's Allen, Evan Mobley, and Lauri Markkanen all the time at the same time. And Markkanen might have had the dunk of the year against Denver the other night, so that's pretty fun for them. And then, of course, they do have the ability to score on the perimeter, right? I like Garland and Sexton, and are they both in tonight? Are we going to get both of them? Yeah, I don't see them on the list. Yeah, so that helps. What I don't like there is Isaac Okoro's doubtful. I know that doesn't really affect your DFS as much, but I think he's a great help to that team. I think that he's great defender, and he was starting to find his rhythm on offense to where even if he wasn't putting up like a lot of like DFS points, if you watch the game, at least he was still commanding the respect of the defense. They weren't just ignoring him like they were at the beginning of last year when he was getting some run and he was just bricking threes left and right. He's made it at a respectable perspective to where you can keep him on the floor, okay, on the offensive end, and he really gives you that boost defensively. I think they're going to lack that tonight. That probably is what's keeping me off Cleveland altogether. Also, just the length of the road trip and my concerns of them coming off a nice win in Denver, maybe getting a little overconfident here. So I didn't want to get involved in this game. I mean, I guess if I had to pick, I would take the Cavaliers, but there's no way I'm betting on this. And at 218, I didn't really see a lot of daily fantasy options either. What are your thoughts on getting involved on the side, the total, or maybe some players?
Yeah, pretty much in lockstep. Like the 8, the Clippers -8. Like I don't have much interest in either side. I think the Cavs are going to be, obviously pretty improved from last season. I mean, they're an absolute disaster. Evan Mobley looks very legit. He looks very good. Excited to watch him moving forward. Sexton, Garland, Rubio off the bench. Like they have pieces. They can compete in games. But I'm not gonna bet on this one. Fantasy wise, more of the same. Like not a great spot here. Not a big total. The Cavs are only projected to score 105, and then on the Clippers side, their prices are up there. I mean, Paul George 10-3. I mean, 10-3 for Paul George or 10-8 for Giannis. I mean, I'm definitely going with Giannis. The only piece I think that is interesting as a punt would be Batum, 3.6K for
Mm,
him. 23 minutes, 22 minutes. I mean, it's a low floor play, like last guy in type thing. You hope he gets you
mm.
like 20 or 22 fantasy points, which is very possible, but the upside's not there. So more likely than not, just going to be off this game altogether, and that's fine. I mean, it's a 10-game slate, and we always talk about it on the hardwood shows and stuff. Like, you don't have to have a piece of every game, especially on these big slates. 10-game slate, you want to narrow your options. I mean, if you
Mm-hmm.
don't narrow your options, you end up with 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% of everybody,
Mm-hmm.
and you have no leverage on the field. So
Yeah.
crossing off games is always a good thing to do. This is a very good one to just kind of cross off the list.
All right, let's give them a mini core and then we'll do a best bets. Guys, a disclaimer before we do the core though, this is just us kind of shooting around. Yesterday Travis and I built one and I thought it was pretty good. And then we all had to throw it out as soon as we got the news. So that's why you're really going to have to be a member of RunPureSports.com and head it over to the final countdown in order to get the up-to-date information. But, hey, if there's no injury news, this is what we go with. And I think tonight there's a little less chance of it because I think that, even when doing this, I wouldn't even mind. We just assume that AD sits. And so, who would you think that give us a couple value plays and maybe a spend up to start our lineups with?
Yeah, so with LeBron out and potentially Anthony Davis, the one guy, the name that's not mentioned in the Lakers injury report is Russell Westbrook. This is somewhat of a revenge game here. Obviously, he played with the Oklahoma City for a long time. Um, I think this is his game to do what he wants, and he was good last night. I think he's good again tonight. Not worried about the back to back. And then you can kind of go to the other side here as well, which is kind of ideal for fantasy. Last night, you needed to have multiple pieces in that Lakers Spurs game to cash in GPPs. Tonight, it could be the Lakers Thunder, and we have options on the other side. Gilgis Alexander, 7.1K, and Gidley, I like too at 4.8K. So you got a nice little mini game stack there with Westbrook, Gilgis Alexander, Giddy. I like that combo. And then if you're looking for like another maybe like cheaper piece, Devonte Graham, a
Okay.
lot of minutes, a lot of shots, and a fair price tag. So there's a nice little 4-pack there for you.
All right, I'm gonna give you one more DFS question. We'll give the best bets on the best side, and then we will call it a show. So this is where I'm at on a nice little build. So my final spot: Lamelo or Bam Adebayo. Normally I would just go towards Lamelo, but don't you think this is just such a great matchup for Bam against those Brooklyn bigs?
Yeah. Bam should absolutely have his way, and I talked. I mean, this is a tough one for me because it's two guys I
Two
really
guys you love.
like.
That's I watched the show, so I
Yeah,
figured I'd put you on the spot.
yeah, and I said like about Lamelo. I think every single night he's a guy. If you're playing tournaments, you're building a lot of teams. Like you need to have some exposure to him. He can absolutely go off. But man, these minutes are just concerning, and it's really capping his upside. I mean, He did get to 33 last time out, but that was in overtime. So you take away the 5 overtime minutes, he's still just at 28. Uh, in a close game, a game that I know the Heat are going to want to win, Bam could get up to 37, 38 minutes. So uh, give me Bam here.
All right. I love to hear that answer. Let's talk about the best bets. We'll start with you. What is your best bet today, side, total, or prop?
Yeah, my favorite play, I think, I wasn't super high in this, but I kind of talked myself into it on the show. I like the Heat tonight. I missed that good number. Give me the Heat to win. Just the Heat money line. I don't want the 3.5. I'm gonna take the Heat just to win, which the money line is. Let me pull it up. It's probably what, plus 120 or something, maybe.
It's going to be a little higher than that. I see a
Plus
plus
140. Yeah, I
146
like that
on
actually.
Bookmaker.
140,
Yeah.
146, whatever it is. Yeah, give me the Heat to win over the Nets. I think they might just be the better team.
All right, and I'm going to take the Sacramento Kings +8. I live in Sacramento, and they are my hometown team, but I do not feel this is a hometown pick. I think that we did a great job of explaining why we don't believe in Phoenix yet at this point of the season. Now, I think they're another team that is going to get it together, but early in the year, this isn't a game that they're going to get up for. They're fine, going to be fine winning by any margin, and I do think the Kings match up well. They're playing hard, and Mitchell's going to give Booker some problems, which could, Chris Paul heavy offense in 2021. I'm fine fading that when I'm getting the 8 points of a cushion. So I do like the Sacramento Kings +8. Hoop, I wanted to thank you for joining me today. It's so much fun, man. It's like, almost like a reunion, right? Because we were all doing the shows together. The NBA season ends. You guys were hitting out of the park with the MLB slate. And then, of course, you've been doing all the great NFL content over at
Yeah.
runpuresports.com. But so glad to have you back. And, thank you for all your help, and just learning this DFS. And I hope that I'm able to help you too on the bet side. Do you have anything for the people before we get out of here?
Yeah, just excited to get back in the swing of things here in the NBA. And I will say, last year when I first started coming on the show with you, I think I went 5-0. My first 5 picks were winners. So
Yeah.
I tend to run hot to start the season. So, if you're watching this, the Heat money line, it's going to be the winner tonight for us. And I'll be back next week, and I'm going to give us another winner. We're going to stay hot. Happy to come on here. I love the progress that you've made in DFS. It's exciting because last year you're kind of new to it. Started doing these shows, and man, like you've caught on very quickly. Excited to come on here, obviously, and talk bets and DFS with you. A lot of fun.
Yeah, so much fun, Hoop. So thank you, everybody, for hanging out. We appreciate the guys in the chat making this a more enjoyable show for us as well. If you're catching it on the replay, please subscribe to the channel, give us a like, and then I've been forgetting to ask. Well, hey, share it with your friends, right? Send a text. You got a friend that bets some basketball, makes a couple lineups. Share the show. We'd appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching.